What is up, everyone? It has been a while since we've done a video, and I just decided to get back into it. What I wanted to do to start it off is just talk about this Sportsman 850. So this is a 2018. It's got about 600 miles on it, and I'm going to explain to you why these are the worst machines on the market currently today. I love it, but it's terrible. And do a search on a Polaris forum, do a search on the Polaris Sportsman 850 owners Facebook page, and you will see these are junk, but you should still probably buy one. So, without further ado, couple specs. You got 78 horse, ain't bad. Do about 81 miles an hour if you keep the stock tire size, which nobody does, which is probably why they also always break. Really good suspension travel, class leading in that. Great handling, as Polaris has always been known for. Very inexpensive parts when things do break, which is basically all the things that will always break the entire time. When they work great. The four-wheel drive system is amazing. I had a 570 that I put almost 4,000 miles on. Four-wheel drive, great when it works. Steering, great. Great turn-in. Suspension, great. Bumps, jumps, beat on it, ride with the passenger, adjust them. They're all adjustable, all four shocks. As you can see, they all have collars on them. They're all adjustable. So let's talk about now why you shouldn't buy one. And then I'll tell you why. Well, I guess I just did tell you why you should. So I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't. So we're just going to go from the front to the rear. So in the front, why you shouldn't. Well, here's the first thing. Great idea, Polaris. Make this so that it comes off. We like it. It's wonderful. Radiator, horrible. Why is it horrible? I'm going to show you why it's horrible. This radiator gets so much mud caked in it that if you do more than 20 or 30 minutes of hard riding in mud in warm weather, you're talking about 220, 230 degree engine temps, unless you rinse it out. Dumb. How could they have fixed it? Well, A, the way it's tilted. That angle means that any piece of mud that sticks in the front of it is just going to stay there. Also, what do you see? You see the radiator. You see the tire, radiator. Every time this tire kicks up mud, this tire puts all its mud right here. And it'll just build up, build up, build up. And it'll build up right there. And build up, build up, build up. And then before you know it, you're running high engine temps, you're pulling over, and all your buddies in their 500cc Hondas and 400cc King Quads keep going, and you're sitting there with a water bottle, spraying it all over your radiator, hoping that the thing doesn't explode before you have a chance to clean it out. Next thing. Winch problems. The problem with the winch on these is that it's ugly. They didn't give you any provisions here to be able to cover this. So now your winch is constantly exposed. What do? Well, we'll go aftermarket. Okay, there are some covers. They're extremely expensive. Not worth it in my mind, but I just think that's ugly and a big oversight considering the fact that Polaris has been doing this for a long time. My 570 was not like that. It didn't have that big ugly winch thing there. So that's my other complaint. Now, front end. All the things you're going to have to worry about on the front end. Bushings on the front end basically have no grease from the factory. Now, obviously, this is going to be a thing with your dealer. Most dealers don't grease it. If you buy one of these, grease them immediately. If you don't, they're plastic bushings. They will be gone before the end of your first ride. I can guarantee it. Ask me how I know. Next thing, the infamous Polaris wheel bearings. I am telling you, I bought the Polaris wheel bearing tool. You need to buy one of those. If you don't buy one of those, your wheel bearings will be shot after 250 miles. I bought the tool. It's just a little greaser. We'll come over here. I'll show it to you. Bearing greaser. So, the way this tool works is it goes, you take off your axle nut, and it's going to go in between your axle and your bearing, and you fit your grease gun on it right there. You stick it over the axle and fill it with grease. That will save your bearings indefinitely. At 250 miles, when I used that tool, there was so much water that came out of the grease, I could have fed all of my camels and filled up all of their humps quite quickly with water. So, wheel bearings. It's been a problem with Polaris forever. They still haven't figured out how to fix it. Next thing. The infamous pinion cover. As we can see, I have an aftermarket one. I don't care if you have a 2019 and up with the updated one. Some people say the 2018s and up are updated aluminum. They're not. I mean, some of them may be in the later time period of the 2018 model year. Mine was not. It is steel. I put a magnet on it. They break. They break all the time. It doesn't matter if you've got 1 mile or 5,000 miles, it will break. And when it breaks, it's going to destroy your differential. A lot of people say Razor 900 diff. Do this mod and you won't have to worry about that in the first place. Also, when you do this mod, you're going to have, as you can see, right here where my finger goes, there is a roll pin in there. Horrible design. How do you get the roll pin in and out? You have to beat on it with a hammer. What's the best way to ruin pinion bearings and pinion seals? Is to put force on them from that direction. They're not designed to take those kind of forces. Once you get that roll pin out, put a bolt in it. I don't recall off the top of my head the size of the bolt. I think it's 5/16. Don't quote me on that. Just run a grade 8 bolt with a locking nut. You don't have to worry about it anymore. So that's the front end, suspension-wise. Now we're going to talk about handlebars. Mine, I have a non-power steering model because I know they have all kinds of problems. My handlebars, nice and tight. What happens is, there's a bushing in here. That bushing goes bad, your handlebars will weeble-wobble all over the place. If you have a power steering model, same thing happens with the lower bushings in them. Because Polaris, in all their infinite wisdom, decided to put the steering shaft right here into the top of the diff. That's where it mounts. There's a bushing in there, that goes bad, and a bearing, I believe there's a bearing, that goes bad, it'll get loose, weeble-wobbly. They're not covering you on that under warranty. That's steering. Now we go under the hood. Finally, battery in a good spot. Thank you. Problem is, battery sucks. If you leave this for any more than a month, battery's going to be dead. So I always keep it on a tender. You can see some wiring underneath here. Everything needs to be dielectric greased. Doesn't matter what it is. Every single one of those is dielectric greased. All of my connections are. When I bought the quad, the first thing I did was strip off all the plastics and dielectric grease all of the connectors. I recommend you do it. If you don't, they will corrode. You'll have all kinds of problems. Next thing, seat. Seat's great. No complaints on the seat for me. Underneath the seat. Oh boy, now we're getting into the meat and potatoes here.